What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for Your Overwatch. I was sick with the Omicron for a while. Omicron, that sounds like a villain in a Transformers movie, doesn't it? But the Overwatch community never has anything happen, right? In the past week, you guys held down the fort while I was away. Wait, like 100 news stories dropped? In today's video, we are going to recap the past weeks of news, as well as update on the more recent events that have come through in a nice big news roundup. What do I think about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the very strident Blizzard developers that refuse to let Bobby Kotick control the message any longer, with it being obvious that he's kind of on the outs? Blizzard announced a new IP? I mean, man, things really blew up when I was away. Okay, we got a lot to get to today, right after a quick message from today's video sponsor.
We know Blizzard is making some cuts this year. Sounds like grooming to me. Let's all get on board. The Manscape Performance Package 4.0 will give you all the tools and formulas you need to upgrade your shave game in 2022. And the star of the show, the Lawnmower 4.0, the greatest shaver of all time. It has a travel lock on it so it doesn't accidentally turn on in your bag. It's waterproof with an LED light on it, making it super easy to use in the shower. But most importantly is the white skin-safe technology interior guard that has revolutionized the manscaping metagame. A no-brainer, you gotta pick one up. But I know you're gonna love the rest of the Performance Package 4.0 as well. Crop Preserver for odor protection after you shower, and Crop Reviver with cooling aloe vera for a freshness pick-me-up. The Weed Whacker is a must. It takes those pesky nose and ear hairs off with a quick swipe, super easy to use, also has the skin-safe technology. I love this thing. The Performance Package 4.0 is the biggest bang for your buck. And because I know you'll love it, you'll want to sign up for the Peak Hygiene plan and get regular replenishments of your favorite products delivered straight to your door. And for a limited time, you'll get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag to store everything in, and the very comfortable Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs. Pick it all up and start the new year right with the Performance Package 4.0. Take our link in the description to head on over to manscaped.com and use our code OVERWATCH to get 20% off your entire order, free international shipping, plus 2 free gifts. They just keep making this deal better and better. Manscaped's got you covered from head to toe.
Okay, starting from the top, Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. And the key takeaway here is the amount that they paid for it. As you might imagine, with all the controversies and game delays, the stock price of Activision Blizzard has dropped significantly. But somehow, Big Daddy Bill Gates, and well, really Microsoft, is willing to pay a high markup on that stock price, which implies that they're going to invest in this IP. What do I mean? They paid $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. They spent only $7.5 billion on Bethesda, almost 10 times. The reason why we should all be excited about that is because we've seen how Microsoft deals with the other IPs they have. One of the most extreme examples is the care they put into an RTS game, a dead genre, one that Blizzard used to have with StarCraft that has now been forgotten. Microsoft, on the other hand, takes care of Age of Empires, at least a little bit, hasn't written it off completely. And with the announcement post, including that flagship franchise in the banner of the acquisition, seems to imply that Microsoft will continue that strategy. And what is it? If you followed Microsoft's business practices through the years, you would know they do this with everything they do. They don't always have the best product or IP themselves, but they go super wide. It's almost like the Jeff Bezos or Walmart method, where because they want so much content in order to pack into the Game Pass, they're going to shill out lots of money. And based on the high price they paid for Activision Blizzard, it seems to imply they're almost okay with it going even, just to buy up as much property and land and own it all as much as possible. It doesn't feel like they're going to be able to flip a quick and easy, fast profit with this, which is everything that Activision turned Blizzard into over the past X amount of years. If you remember, Warcraft 3 Reforged had all of its broken promises due to the previous management structure of wanting every game to make infinite money, meaning that there was basically no room to put tender loving care into something that might underperform that very high standard. Microsoft does everything the other way, where not every game has to be $1 billion franchise. And what have we said so much about Overwatch over the years? It wants to be everything to everyone because every game that Activision Blizzard has to make infinite money. I think we're already on that path, and the back backing of Microsoft will continue that strategy, I think, which is good for Overwatch fans and Blizzard fans in general, I would say. Now, that's all great, but of course, the corporate overlord Bobby Kotick went on to do interviews to discuss, well, why the heck did you sell, Bobby? And he gave some vague answers like stock prices go up, stock prices go down. You can't explain that. It couldn't have been because of our horrible management structure and all my horrible decisions. No, of course not. Mistakes were made, distancing himself from the responsibility. But after that, one of the Overwatch producers, my favorite Blizzard dev now, Tracy Kennedy, went viral on Twitter calling out Bobby to his face. You'll remember Tracy from also being the one that finally explained the story of why Jeff Kaplan left. But here gives us very key insight into the delays of Overwatch 2. Tracy says, Bobby, tell everyone about the random projects for Overwatch 1 you would shove on us, the team would do overtime for, only to get them canceled, and for months of Overwatch 2 dev to have been lost. Or how almost entire teams are turning over and citing you as the reason. Don't be shy. She goes on, oh wait, that's right. You hide behind scapegoats because you're a coward. My mistake. The entire world will remember you to be a greedy joke. And there's nothing you can do to change that. We outlasted you and won. Bye. And just today, she also tacked on this tweet, if your priority as a leader is to silence employees so things can get back to the normal that got you sued, you have no idea what your actual job is, and you aren't actually a leader. Well said, Tracy. Now, there's other devs that have gone to Twitter, but I want to focus on Tracy being kind of the spearhead of Blizzard devs finally feeling like too much is too much. Like, how much of we would have loved to have Jeff Kaplan tell us what he really thinks? It's nice to have this loudspeaker from the heart of the dev team, because a lot of us who have interacted with especially the Overwatch dev team know them to be good people. So it never seemed to make sense to me, the disconnect between the Activision Blizzard BS and the actual humans that work there. Imagine the hell that must have been like. From Bobby Boy barking orders to the dev team demanding things that he would then change his mind about. That is foundationally terrible leadership, if true. I think the evidence shows that as well, right? The game getting neglected for so long and Blizzard needing so much time in order to tell us what the heck they're doing is because things kept changing. You've watched the channel for the past X amount of months. Haven't I said these things anyway? Wasn't it obvious based on the track record of what they've produced? So none of this comes as a surprise to me. It doesn't just make sense, it makes perfect sense. Like, imagine if Bobby, when Fortnite popped off, demanded the team make a battle royale, for better or for worse, rather than improving the game they actually have, or something crazy like that, then changed his mind 6 months down the line, which you just can't do with development, right? Like, it's important for these creative people to be able to lean into their own skill sets as opposed to be anchored to the whims of a money-generating madman. Okay, so pretty harsh language from me, but I've been bursting at the seams to finally be able to have my voice back and not be coughing every day, to get back on the mic and tell you guys how I feel about that. Overall, the Microsoft acquisition is set to take about a year for us to wean us off the Bobby Kotick model, but we already think we can feel that grip being loosened because more and more devs have come out blasting the man. Like, I don't think they fear being fired or losing their jobs or whatever anymore. And every decision Bobby makes from now on is going to be under the watchful eye of Phil Spencer, who's been turning Xbox around in a lot of ways. Like, Game Pass kind of rocks, right? And it does so through brute force for value to the consumer. Doesn't that sound like a better way to run the games you love as opposed to robbing dev resources in order to milk as much money for the shareholders and Bobby? That's the world I want to live in when it comes to my favorite games. The jury's out on whether we'll ever get the old Blizzard feel back. When you have the backing of Microsoft, there's a lot of stability there. I just feel like things won't feel as stressed. Now, with that being said, it was teased that new things would be coming from Activision Blizzard. A lot of Overwatch fans were wondering, does this have something to do with the NDA our Overwatch content creators are under, myself included? Well, it doesn't seem to be the case so far. Blizzard announced a new IP that they're working on, a survival game, which certainly is an exciting genre for them to get into, one that I think they can put a lot of tender, loving Blizzard care into if done right, with the typical Blizzard formula of taking more complicated genres genres and keeping a lot of the soul that the hardcore fans enjoy, but also making it accessible to newer players as well. Sort of the magic Blizzard formula. It doesn't feel like there's as much hype for this as there was when Overwatch was first teased and announced or whatever, because back then our expectations of a new Blizzard IP were entirely different. Whereas now, I think people have the bad taste in their mouth of mismanagement of a few properties, Overwatch included, to be skeptical on this, right? So skeptical, I've been hearing rumblings and rumors of skepticism towards Overwatch 2. On one hand, I've heard some rumors that it is believed that the switch to 5v5 was more so that it can run better on mobile devices, like more optimization on the Switch, but also on your cell phone. This theory was expanded by a side-by-side comparison of some of the Overwatch 2 streams that make it seem like the design of the game is more simplified, with far less detail in the graphics, and also pointing to job descriptions for all the Blizzard IPs to go onto mobile, which, we always knew they would have been doing anyway. Now, before you get your pitchforks out, I will say that I think when you look at screenshots like this, you have to put on our thinking caps and wonder if there is an Occams Razor solution to some of these comparisons. For example, a lot of the pro players that got to go onto the test build have said that it felt like an alpha, and we already know from seeing a lot of the character model reveals that they have a lot more high fidelity artwork that they have upgraded the engine for. So it's a little misleading to look at the live stream of what the game looks like in its alpha form when we already know that, like, for example, the new Sombra design is way more detailed. I think that one shows it maybe the most. Not all of them are as big of an upgrade in looks, but I think it's disingenuous to like max out Overwatch on live right now and compare Overwatch 2's like alpha build that they were on in the reveal and expect that to line up. Like, that's not the intention. But I wouldn't put it out of the reach that they might go lower on the performance and higher on both ends. I think a lot of old school gamers, and I'll admit, like, I used to think this way too, assumed that if the game is going to be ported onto mobile or weaker devices, that must mean that they're dropping the performance on the high end, because that typically was the case over many console generations. But being curious into this stuff, I've learned a lot about new technologies like adaptive resolution that they use to get games ported onto the Nintendo Switch, for example, that I wouldn't be up in arms already before we know the facts. Development tricks have improved to the point where I think we could both see a higher version of the game upgraded like they said it was, and also a lower version. But let's not like compare Overwatch 2 on low versus Overwatch 1 on high. I think that's a little silly, but time will tell on this. I think that's a good flag to put in the ground and see how this develops over what we know is going to be coming. The public thing that everybody knows is that the pros will be playing on Overwatch 2 come April. Still a long few months away, I know. But on that note, I would suspect that we would at least have to have an update on that about a month before. So I'm assuming these 2 months might be a little light. And then by March, or perhaps a little before that, the news drive to pick up. And I'm using my wording very carefully here, and thankfully under my NDA, I don't actually know. I'm allowed to guess because they haven't actually told me any specifics. So I know a lot more than I'm allowed to say, but I'm still trying to guess here or there. Okay, so more on talking about new content for Overwatch. There was a mercy change that is worded fairly confusing. For your understanding, this is talking about only when a teammate dies and their soul is like traveling in the air and falls in a pit. It does not mean that you can resurrect an environmental kill, which I think would kind of be okay in my opinion, but this is only for the little spirits or ghosts as they fall into a pit. They'll be made available and targetable. This week, the Lunar New Year event went live and only had 2 legendary skins. Not only does that feel way too light, general fan sentiment has been that the skins don't look good enough. Like, this event was just a throwaway. In my opinion, if we were going to lower the dev investment in one of the events over the years, I would probably pick this one first. I thought SVB had a great quote in response about the recent backlash about the failure of the Lunar New Year. Anonymous Overwatch, which is a sort of a public tweet board for people to submit tweets into. It isn't one person saying this, but a random person that submitted this statement saying, 2 legendary skins for this event. Wow, I'm really impressed with the Overwatch content so far in 2022. Those streamers with NDAs definitely weren't lying. SVB said, yeah, man, the NDA call was entirely about the number of legendary skins we'd get in the Lunar New Year event. They told us it'd be 6. And we all jumped for joy. Overwatch is saved while we held hands and hummed hallelujah. Okay, can I leak this? I don't remember a skin being mentioned in that NDA call, nor do I remember any of the creators demanding to know how many skins or what the skin pipeline would be. That's not what we were excited about, okay? I'm bursting at the seams to tell you guys what it is. And frankly, it's been so long, I am shocked none of y'all have leaked anything. Really? Overwatch must have the most die-hard fan base ever. Listen, if you do content creation part-time or just for fun, don't take it too seriously, maybe you don't mind burning a bridge with Blizzard and leaking everything you know about the content creator NDA, but nobody's done that, which is just a little odd human behavior. I think it's because the people that cover this game really do love it. Is just the truth of it, because the cynical creators would have gone to other greener pastures long ago, myself included, because I just like it here. Speaking of creators leaving the scene, there was an announcement by Sideshow, who's been an Overwatch creator since the start of the game, and perhaps him and Bren considered by many to be the face of the Overwatch League. Sideshow tweeted this: Bren and I currently do not have an agreement for 2022 with Overwatch League, marking the end of our 4 years as broadcast talent. We wish the league and our colleagues the best of luck for Overwatch 2. We've been there since day one, called some incredible moments, and made the broadcast better where we could. We'll still be around the scene with Plat Chat or co-streams and working other freelance broadcast work in esports. You won't be rid of us just yet. I Look Like a Llama on the competitive Overwatch subreddit gave a summary of Sideshow's stream where he discussed some of this decision, and as you might expect, the Overwatch League put up an offer, and Brendan Sideshow felt it wasn't competitive for the industry standard for what they were being asked to do, with no negotiations since Sean Miller took over, though there were various reasons why they didn't want to sign. Further, it seems Sideshow criticized some of the ways that, obviously Blizzard has been run, as well as the Overwatch League. A lot of these things are obvious and always a shock that they can't manage to get it right. For example, having the game and the esport out of sync all the time, the scandals and lawsuits. And one little tidbit that I'm interested in a lot is that he doesn't really play Overwatch that much. He casted for Team Fortress 2 as well, 8,000 hours, and only has 660-ish in Overwatch. Overwatch is just a hard game to play and cover and all that, and I think that adds to the multiple problems that Overwatch needs to overcome with the sequel all at once. You guys know what my priorities are, have been saying them a lot in the last few videos, so I won't get into it again. But since that we now know that lots of other aspirations were just tossed at the feet of the developers during development and then changed gears, it can make sense how so many aspects of Overwatch don't feel like they evolve at the pace of my expectations anyway, but I think just like gaming in general. We'll see if they can turn that around in Overwatch 2, which I know we've been saying for years now. One last thing to shout out before we go, there will be an experimental card, again, led by content creators, so there'll be wacky changes around the corner. We'll go more into depth into that when we find out what they are. I do know that it will be coming next month. That's everything for today's big wrap-up video. I look forward to making a lot more videos in 2022. Feel better, ready to get on the grind again. So if you don't want to miss a video, be sure to hit subscribe and click the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. And if you want to support the channel, be sure to check out Manscaped and use our offer code OVERWATCH to get 20% off your entire order and free international shipping, as well as 2 free gifts. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.